Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And I'm here today to talk about 5 do's and don'ts when it comes to building your food storage. So let's get to these points. The first one is do buy in bulk when it comes to the staples, the must-haves, and the things that you're going to use the most. But don't buy items that you really don't like, you don't think you're ever going to use just because somebody else does that or recommends you do that. Now, I'll do this a lot of times. I'll recommend, here's a good idea for your food storage, because it's something that I find very useful, or I think is a good idea to have stored up. But for you, that might be a bad idea because it might be something either you don't like or you don't think you will ever use. This even includes things that I may stock for family, like my grandbabies. I like to have certain things on hand for them, or to have ready if I'm ever going to make gluten-free products for somebody, because maybe we're having some kind of get together, we're having friends or family or whoever, and somebody needs to be gluten-free. I want to know I can make those things. So I do like to have some of that kind of stuff on hand. But that you might not know a single person that needs to be gluten-free or have anybody in your family. So that would probably just be a waste of space for you. Number 2 is do shop sales. So whenever you see, even if it's, maybe you're not canning your own stuff yet, but you see stuff on sale that's, some canned goods, and they're just putting them on sale for a really good price. Yes, stock up on that stuff. Or you do your own canning, but maybe you're not growing all your own stuff, and you see a really good deal on some organic tomatoes or green beans or something like that. Yes, stock up on those things, can them, dehydrate them, whatever your favorite way is to put those things up. But don't give in to coupon sales, because not to say there aren't some good ones out there, but in most cases, what you're going to see when it comes to coupons is they're always going to be for either heavily processed foods or things that you can easily make yourself for very, very cheap, such as toothpaste or even laundry detergent. And I have recipes. These are things that are actually super easy to make and are very, very cheap to make. Unless, of course, you're not into doing that yet, then it might be worth it. But especially when it comes to food, you'll find a lot of times it's for prepackaged foods and things you may not normally eat, especially if you're trying to go for a healthier diet. The coupons really don't save you any money because you're still going to be paying more for the prepackaged foods. And they're not going to be as healthy for you as learning how to cook and bake a lot of this stuff yourself. Number 3 is do the best you can to grow what you are able. But don't ever feel pressured into doing more than you can handle. Be it that you either don't have the space, or you don't have the physical ability or the time to grow everything that you consume. In fact, nobody, I don't care who they are, grows everything that they consume. Some might think they do, but there's always going to be the things that they forget, such as salt or sugar or something like that. So just do the best you can, because that's going to at least help cut the cost of the rest of your groceries. And it could be as simple as starting off with just growing some culinary herbs in a window, particularly a south-facing window. It's going to do best, or out on a patio in some pots. There's a lot of great culinary herbs that will grow in pots, either in a window or just out on a deck somewhere. And that can add flavor to your food storage. And all of your culinary herbs have some kind of medicinal properties to them, most of them quite powerful, such as your rosemary and oregano and sage and thyme. All have excellent health benefits and medicinal benefits. So by starting there, it's a simple place to start that takes up little room. It can save you money as well as be good for your health. And again, adding flavor to boring meals, especially if you have a lot of rice and beans on hand. You can mix your herbs up and just add more flavor to it so you don't get quite so bored. Number 4 is make sure you're learning how to expand your food storage methods. So if you're all about canning, try to consider doing other things like dehydrating or other forms like there's some out there I've never tried, like salt curing and more, but consider trying expanding the way you put up food. Because if you become fully dependent on one source like canning, because it's all in glass, and no matter how well you take care of those glass jars, there's still a chance of breakage. Maybe you want to look at some other ways that you can put up food, or lighter weight methods that aren't going to put so much strain on your shelves, or things that you can easily pack and go. But don't feel pressured into gimmick buys or buying expensive things that you really don't need to survive, such as, and I bring this one up a lot, unless you think it is a very necessary and useful thing to you, there's no need to put a lot of money into a freeze dryer. Or even on the other hand, things that are really cheap, like, maybe some vacuum sealing tops and stuff. If you've got other ways that you can do this stuff, you don't want to also nickel and dime yourself to death with a bunch of little cheap gimmicky stuff as well. So don't feel pressured into doing that kind of stuff, or even buying a dehydrator like mine, because there are other ways to dehydrate food where you don't even have to have any special equipment, because people were doing that for centuries, for thousands of years, long before electric dehydrators were even invented, simply by hanging foods to dry somewhere, as long as you don't have high humidity. Even people with high humidity have found ways to dehydrate food without using any electricity or fancy gadgets. So just don't feel pressured. A lot of this comes down to not feeling pressured into doing something the way somebody else does, but finding what works best for you and your pocketbook. And then the last point is finding creative ways to make the most of your food storage as far as space goes, especially those who live in smaller areas. Maybe you live in a little apartment. Just learn how to be creative and find different places. Maybe you have a pantry, but it's too small to store all the things you want to store. Learn how to use other spaces in your home or on your property for storing your food. And by the way, I have a video where I compiled together some ideas, including ones I use myself, on food storage for small spaces, that I will go ahead and link to down below. But the don't part of this is making sure that you don't forget to rotate or forget where you've stored that food. Sometimes we can get so creative that we forget that we had something stored somewhere. I just recently found a bag of cereal in the top shelf of one of my closets. I don't even remember putting up there. And it was still in a bag. It wasn't vacuum sealed in jars. So this goes way, way back before I got more into vacuum sealing into jars, like way back. And just out of curiosity, I opened that bag. It was just a little plastic bag. And of course, it tasted terrible. It wasn't as stale as I expected it to be, but it tasted just nasty. It was awful. I have no idea how long that cereal had been there. So every once in a while, I'll find food that I hid away somewhere that I forgot all about. And so it's not getting rotated through. Some of the stuff's not so bad, like some of the canned meats and stuff that I've hid away, but because canned foods, properly preserved, properly stored foods can last, as long as they stay sealed, can last indefinitely. It's so the canned stuff I'm not worried about, but if it's just still in the plastic bag it came in, the cereal, that it's going to get nasty. It's going to go bad over time because it's not properly stored. If it was vacuum sealed into jars, that would be a totally different story. And that's another thing. Don't forget to also store those things properly before you put them up. So yes, I have a bunch of cereal and crackers that I vacuum sealed into jars and have stored away properly that I know will still be good as long as the seals have all held, and those will be fine when I go to use them, unlike that bag of cereal. So yes, don't forget to rotate and don't forget where you stored that stuff. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed my video today on my 5 different do's and don'ts on food storage, and don't forget to check out any links I'll be putting in the description box down below. And thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.